Hey, good Monday afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. Hail Stalkers, was it a busy weekend for you all? It was very, very busy here in the Hail Palace. Our meteorologists were working overtime this weekend. We had over 300 tornado warnings this weekend. We had three four-star maps and one five-star, the first five-star of the year. So it is safe to say it was a very busy weekend for everyone involved. And I know a lot of people are now getting on the road and they're hitting the streets and they're knocking on doors and getting on the roofs today. So we appreciate you taking the time and watching the forecast because we do have another round in the forecast. We didn't just end there. We have another round, actually two more rounds to look forward to. So if you didn't get hit yet, just wait. You may be in the forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then another round on Sunday. Oklahoma and Texas get in on the action on Sunday, and even portions of Arkansas, Louisiana, and even Tennessee. So we've got a lot of things to talk about. I want to do a weekend recap first, and you can see I've got my green on today, so I am keying through a little bit, which is fun because we did get our first five stars. So every time that you see us get a five-star this year, you will see us in green. And it's very fitting because it's also St. Patrick's Day. So let's see what happened this weekend. Up to the north, it was mainly a wind event. You could see a little bit of hail in there, but mostly these were smaller stones up to the north. Some of our biggest stones started to come out of Springfield late on Friday night and slowly moved into St. Louis. Arkansas started to see some of those tornadoes, and we slowly stretched that severe weather activity farther down to the south. Tornadoes first, and that hail followed up to the north. I think that our five-star comes in here pretty soon. There you go, through the overnight hours and into early Saturday morning. We saw that large hail in Kentucky, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. But then our attention shifted down to the south for a very active Saturday as we saw tornado warning after warning after warning after warning. It was nonstop with multiple tornadoes ongoing all at the same time across the southeast, across our Gulf states. Now, one area I did forget to mention was also on early Saturday morning, College Station got hit pretty hard as well down in Texas. That was either late Friday night or early Saturday morning. And we got a four-star out of that storm as well. So even Texas getting in on a lot of this severe weather activity this weekend. As we headed throughout the day on Saturday, we saw that tornado threat go down a little bit, still a wind threat, but we saw that tornado threat increase as we headed into the afternoon hours on Sunday, and even saw a little bit of hail out of this. Greensboro, North Carolina got a four-star hail event as well. So it was a little bit of everything. Over 16, 17 states got hit with severe weather this weekend, most of those with tornado activity. Even more, I didn't even include the wind events in that count, so even more had high wind. I mean, you can see that wind stretches all the way up to the north there. We saw some really extreme wind, over 80 miles an hour for a good chunk of the US for a significant amount of people. So let's go through some of these hail events here. This was our five-star event from Louisville to Paducah, Kentucky, all the way into Jeffersonville, Indiana. So this is the northern side of Kentucky, and then you can see the state line. There's Indiana right there. We had over 2-inch size hail, so pretty significant hail size there. But really, the impacts here were how many people were hit. There was over 300,000 homes impacted here, and we just saw so much impressive video and pictures from the impacts that this hail did to houses, to siding, to roofs, to what do you call that? That like overhangs above your patio and your balcony, like a deck. Um, just so many impacts, and all of those pictures, by the way, are on our social media from this storm. That's why it got upgraded. Originally, it was a four-star, and it was upgraded to a five-star after we saw all of those impact pictures. Moving on to a four-star event, that was College Station. So anywhere from College Station to Sayersville to Carthage, Texas. We also saw 2-inch size hail here and over 90,000 homes impacted. You can see That swath right here was some of the largest hail hitting some pretty populated areas in Bryan, Texas, just outside of College Station. Another 4-star hail event. By the time you were waking up on Saturday morning, it was like hail event after hail event after hail event. This one, we were live streaming as this happened on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. This started to the south of Springfield in the Ozarks. So there's a lot of houses in the Lake of the Ozarks that are vacation homes for people. You know, we are coming up on that season and of vacationing, so I'm sure a lot of people are getting out there and they're saying, "Hang on, I have hail that hit my house out here." I mean, we saw some really big hailstorms out here, and then that continued to move into St. Louis. It just made a straight track to St. Louis. So through the late night hours on Friday, we saw these storms moving into St. Louis. 2-inch size hail is what we got here, and over 600,000, almost 700,000 homes impacted here. This also came along with some really high wind and tornadoes as well. This was a really big event to start off this multi-day severe weather event. So let's move on to the forecast here. You guys are probably working those storms over the next few days that we just got, but we do have more storms coming. So let's get into it. It's warm over the next few days, so it's great weather to get outside and hit the streets and go climb up on roofs. Pretty nice weather out there, maybe even t-shirt weather for some of you. Colder air is moving in on Wednesday, and I do think that these temperatures are going to drop pretty significantly. We do even have some snow moving in behind these storms that you'll see Tuesday into Wednesday. But right now, it's pretty quiet out there. We've got a good amount of sunshine for most of the US. That's going to help with your warmer temperatures today. It's a great day to get outside. Your rain, a little bit lingering on the East Coast, a little bit on the West Coast, some snow mixing in the higher elevations. But for the most part, I mean, we're quiet out there. This is the calm before the storm, or even the calm after the storm, the calm in between the storms, because we have another round on the way. So you can see this trough. If you follow these black lines right here, you can see this dip in the jet stream that will slowly move towards the plains, and that's where we're expecting that next round of activity to start. 69 degrees right now in Oklahoma City, 74 in Dallas, moving up to the north into Kansas City, a gorgeous 63, 41 in Fort Wayne, and we even have the 50s and 60s hugging the East Coast here. So I don't have to say it again, but it's a nice day to get outside. We've got some fire weather going on today. It's just very dry out there, so we do have that red flag warning in effect. The breezy winds are going to stick around. You can see all those purples in here. Those are really high wind gusts that are going to stick around not only for today, but also the middle of the work week. Taking a look at your future radar here, this is when we start to see some activity. So pretty quiet today. Tomorrow, first, we'll start to see some activity out in the Four Corners. I'm not terribly worried about these storms. Some of those could go strong, so a strike of lightning, rumble of thunder. The hail, however, looks to be smaller than the size of a quarter, so non-severe there. Where we're really looking for that severe weather will be late on Tuesday night. So by 8 o'clock, those storms still non-severe in the middle of Nebraska. As they head into the overnight hours, we're watching for those storms to start up in Omaha, really in Lincoln, and then moving into Omaha, and then becoming a little bit more widespread as we head off into Iowa through the overnight hours on Tuesday. So you can see our radar actually stops before the storms even get there. So I pulled up a different radar for you here. So here's your storms early on Tuesday, late on Wednesday. There you go. I wanted this to restart. Here we go. Late Tuesday, early Wednesday. By early Wednesday morning, storms are continuing across central Iowa. Again, Lincoln, Omaha, after midnight on Tuesday. Iowa, early morning hours on Wednesday, all the way through the daytime hours. What you're going to see from this storm system is it's clustered at first, so very, very isolated in Nebraska, more widespread through Omaha, stretching down and starting to form a line of storms right along the Mississippi right here by Wednesday afternoon. And this definitely increases that spread of severe activity, okay? So this is Wednesday afternoon into the evening hours. There's your line of storms. And you know the main risk with this storm system here is that hail. that wind risk, it's on the board. Tornado risk also possible here. But the main risk here is that hail risk. I think that hail sizes could get up to the size of a ping pong ball, maybe a golf ball. It's going to be pretty isolated overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, isolated large hail, but I think it'll be a lot more widespread on Wednesday. Still not everyone getting hit on Wednesday, but it's going to be a lot more promising on Wednesday than it is on Tuesday. Okay, let's take a look at your significant hail model. As I mentioned, the four corners, not expecting too much out of that. Moving over to Omaha, late Tuesday, early Wednesday. Hail models are struggling to pull in some large hail over here, which is why I think that if we do get any large hail, it'll be extremely isolated. So what's your max hail size? If we could get ping pong ball sized hail, again, maybe like one little small area. I really think that most of our hailstones will be quarter size or smaller. Wind forecast. Again, I told you that it's on the board, but I'm not terribly concerned about those high winds, 60 to 65 miles an hour, and that low category is what we're expecting here Tuesday into early Wednesday. Now, I think maybe, oh, did I pass through? Okay, here, we'll talk about tomorrow's severe weather threat, break that down. Low tornado risk, the main risk here will be large hail. There we go. Now moving on to Wednesday. So on Wednesday, as I mentioned, storms are starting out in Iowa, but then slowly stretching down to the south, right along and to the east of the Mississippi, and then continuing to track to the east as we head into the afternoon and evening and late night hours. Now, Indianapolis, I think that you could see a better chance for some of those larger hailstones. Anything to the north of Nashville and even to the south of Chicago, we could see up to ping pong ball size hail. I don't think that we'll see too much, anything larger than that. I think it's going to be hard to get anything larger than the size of a ping pong ball out of this. Again, that wind risk is definitely possible here on Wednesday, but it's not one of the main ones that we're concerned about. That tornado risk, it's also on the board. It's a level 1 on a scale of 5, highlighted there in green in that low category. Taking a look at your future radar here, again, we're still so far out from the storm system. We're going to get a lot more detail on this over the next 24 hours as we get a little bit closer to the system because we're looking over 48 hours ahead here. So model data at this point isn't great, but we can tell exactly where that line of storms is going to be. And then look at this, behind this line of storms, we've got snow moving in. So that's where the colder temperatures come in, right? As the storms hit, you're gonna see a big temperature drop very, very fast. So if you're trying to get out by the end of this week, just plan on bundling up. You're probably going to need that sweatshirt, maybe even that coat. If you've put it away, pull it back out because you may need it by the end of this week. Storms will continue to track off to the east by Thursday and Friday, hugging the East Coast by late in the day on Thursday. But we don't end there with your severe weather risk. You have another risk of storms moving in on Sunday. I know this says Saturday. This is Sunday. So Sunday, we're expecting storms anywhere, and this is pretty far out. So this information could change. You definitely want to stay up to date on your forecasts and make sure that you get your forecast today and tomorrow because this information will most likely be updated. Dallas to Oklahoma City is where we see that severe weather risk, going as far east as Memphis and as far southeast as Jackson. Again, this is Sunday into Monday. There you go. Correct time right there. For all of those areas highlighted in yellow, that includes most of Arkansas and the northern side of Louisiana as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we're talking about a trough here. This is where your first round of severe weather comes in as it moves to the east, right there, Tuesday into Wednesday. And then we have another round of storms as we head into Sunday. So late this weekend, you have another chance to see those storms come in. You know, we say this in the weather community all the time. We say once that switch is flipped on, it's on. It's that severe weather season. It seemed like we flipped that switch starting in the middle of March and we are not turning it off. So we have just round after round of storms moving in. You can see temperatures are also going up and down and a lot cooler by the end of this weekend. excuse me, by the end of this work week. And taking a look at your extended temperature outlook. So as we head into the end of March, what are we expecting here? Above average, either right at average or the likelihood to be above average for northern plains, New England, Northeast coast, all the way out to the south and west. And we need this heat for storms. So this is a good indicator that storms will continue. We also need moisture for storms, another good indicator that storms could continue. So we'll take a look at it. Of course, we'll have all of our meteorologists watching this all the way out until the end of March. But we did want to give you guys just a few weeks of a heads up that we could see this activity continuing into the end of March. Maybe not as active as it was this weekend, but still, I think that we could see storms every few days, kind of like what we're seeing right now. As always, if you have any weather questions, stick them in the comments section. I'm pretty good about going back after this forecast is over and taking a look at your questions and answering them as I can. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We post almost hourly, it seems like these days, updates on our weather, on our maps, on all of these locations. We get on Threads and LinkedIn a little bit as well, so follow us on there. And if you have any questions on how to use the app, or you want to sign up for a subscription for Hail Trace and you want access to all of those hail, wind, and tornado maps that we mapped this past weekend, as I told you, our meteorologists were very busy and they're going back today and they're making sure that everything they mapped this weekend is completely accurate for you. So if you're interested in a subscription, give us a call at 855-334-4245. Again, we have real meteorologists working on those storms, and you can get access by heading over to our website or giving us a call or even emailing us at info@hailtrace.com. All right, have a fantastic Monday. We'll see you back here, same time, same place for your forecast tomorrow.